Good evening. Welcome to this live with me, Kate B from the Sober School. I am here this evening because I want to talk about something really important, and it's the 5 blocks that can prevent women from really embracing an alcohol-free life, from really letting sobriety stick. If you're watching this and you've been struggling with your drinking for a while, and you keep thinking about doing something about it, you feel like you should take a break, you should make change happen, but somehow you just never quite make it there, then pay attention to this, because I might be talking about some blocks that are really your blocks. So I've been running the Sober School since 2016. I've coached thousands of women to quit drinking or take a break from booze and actually enjoy it. And I see some of these blocks coming up for people again and again and again. So whether you are doing dry January, perhaps you're 4 days into this, or perhaps you are still thinking about what your alcohol-free goals are for 2024. Perhaps you are considering joining my Getting Unstuck coaching program, which starts on Monday. So that's there for anyone who knows they struggle to do this on their own. Wherever you are on this, I suspect you've got some, if not all of these blocks, because they just come up for so many of us. So hi to you if you're watching me on Instagram or Facebook or over in my free New Year masterclass. I've been doing a lot of things recently to just try and help people get going with sobriety. And look, I'm always there if you know you need a bit of extra support. All right, so let's get going and talk about these blocks then. I said there were 5 blocks that I see in particular coming up. And here's the first one. I haven't got enough time to work on sobriety. I haven't got enough time to do this properly. Because if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I strongly recommend you do some work during your alcohol-free break. This isn't just about not drinking. If you just ditch alcohol, but change nothing else, and you muscle on through with willpower and grit and determination, this isn't going to feel like much fun. So you do want to educate yourself about alcohol, find some new coping mechanisms, understand the neuroscience, do some personal development work, really sort of spend some time working on your alcohol-free lifestyle and kind of crafting it. And I know for a lot of people, if they're really busy, if life's crazy, it feels like you just haven't got the time or the headspace to work on that. Perhaps you're watching this and life is just manic right now. You are just always go, go, go. And you can't even think about how you would fit in, like doing this work on yourself and figuring sobriety out. Or perhaps you think you haven't got time to take a program like mine. So here's my challenge for you. And if you've got a pen handy, you might want to write these down, because you might need to reflect on this a bit. How much time, I guess what I'm trying to get you to see is how much time alcohol is taking from you. Because if you can find the time to drink, you can find the time to quit drinking as well. So I want you to think about, how much time are you spending recovering from drinking at the moment? How much time do you spend putting things right afterwards? Maybe it's literally apologizing, or doing that morning sweep where you go through your text messages, look at who you called, what did you post on Facebook. Maybe you getting a weird look from your partner because you said something, but you're not totally sure what. That's all time consuming in its own right. How much time do you spend managing your alcohol habit? So literally going to the shops to buy this stuff, wondering if you've got enough, planning your day around Okay, I need to pop to the supermarket, mustn't leave it too late, got to pick that wine up, don't want to buy too much. It's a full-time job sometimes, managing alcohol and the consequences. How much time do you spend worrying about your drinking? Or just, I don't know, watching lives like this, like Googling for help? That takes up a lot of time and brain space. How much time do you spend living life on repeat? So having the same conversations multiple times, or having to do things several times because you can't quite remember, or you didn't do it to the standard that you wanted to do something. And then, of course, there's the time that you actually spend being drunk, like being physically absent in your life. So think about all this time. I think for me, on average, on a typical week, I probably spent an hour a day. When you account for all of this stuff, that's an hour a day. I mean, over, a month, that's like 31 hours already, more than a whole day. Over a year, 365 hours. I mean, just you start to play the longer game, you can see how you get that time back. So if you are short on time in your life, please know that the time you invest in working on an alcohol-free lifestyle will just pay back. It will just pay you dividends. It'll be really worth it. Here's the next block that I see coming up for a lot of people, and I've been answering this question a lot in our inbox at the moment because, like I say, we're enrolling for the next Getting Unstuck coaching program, and I have a lot of women in this January class who've got partners who drink, and they're really worried about it. Like, how am I going to do this if I'm on my own? If I'm going to be around my husband or my wife or my partner, and they are still going to be pouring a glass of my favorite drink. Okay, I've got a couple of thoughts on this. First of all, you've got to remember that you are your own person. Because sometimes in these conversations, we forget how amazing and bloody minded and independent you are. And I know there is something right now that your partner does that you never do. You never have a problem saying no to. And perhaps you've got your own passions, your own political beliefs, or your own taste in music, or your own hobbies, or things that your other half like teases you about a bit, but you just carry on doing them anyway, because we aren't the same person. We're independent of each other. I can do whatever I want. I just want to remind you of that when you're thinking about this. I've got a little bit of tough love for you. This point too is to don't make your circumstances your problem. So if you can only quit drinking when the circumstances around you are perfect, so for example, your partner stops as well, then you are in a really disempowered place. I don't want you to be reliant on other people behaving in a perfect way in order for you to be able to quit drinking, because that puts your sobriety on a rocky footing. That means you are at really high risk of drinking again if anyone else changes their behavior. And I'll tell you this, I've worked with women who have had the most supportive partners, and yet they've still found it hard. Like, they still found it really tough. So having a supportive partner isn't the key to this. And truthfully, we need to give this time because we don't know how this is going to play out. I have worked with women whose their other half has just never changed, just carried on drinking, and it's been fine because my client has decided, actually, it doesn't matter what liquid is in my glass. We can still spend that quality time together. We can still go out on date night. What's special about date night is the time that we're spending away from the rest of our manic life. It's that time together that makes it special, not the rotting fruit juice that we're pouring out of a bottle or the liquid drug that the waiter is offering me. That's not what matters. And I also know other people who, this is a funny one, they stop drinking and then to their surprise, their partner starts drinking a bit less as well. And they start to realize that, oh, a lot of the time we were kind of goading each other on. It was a bit of, oh, well, yeah, let's open another bottle. I'll have one if you're having one. I even had a client recently who said she thinks that her partner used to drink half the bottle because he wanted to make sure that she didn't drink the whole bottle. So again, we've got to give this time. I don't know what's true for you. I don't know anything about your relationship, but there are many possibilities for this. One thing I will say, if you're going this alone and you don't have that, unconditional support at home, make sure you are getting the support you need elsewhere. My Getting Unstuck course, my group coaching program, it is a group coaching program for a reason. And it's live, it's starting on Monday, because I want to be able to provide that community and that support for people who are taking part, because I know that so many of them are doing this on their own. They just don't have anyone else in their life supporting them, or they don't have anyone else who they can talk to about this. So you want to manage your mind and get the support you need elsewhere. Okay, so I've talked about two of the blocks so far that I see holding people back. It is thinking that you've not got enough time to work on sobriety, thinking that your partner drinking is going to be a problem. And then there's this one. This isn't the right time. So it isn't the right moment. I've got something coming up on the calendar, something that clashes with my break. I think I'd be better doing this later in the year or next year or next month. This just isn't the right time for me. I know this one so well because this was what kept me stuck for ages, really, truly believing that there was just going to be this magic time when it was all going to slot into place for me, when the stars would align, everything would just work out as I wanted it to, and I would be able to quit drinking easily. But the fact is, there is no such thing as a good time. And how do we know this? Because if you remember back to 2020, lockdown, pandemic times, that was a time in life where most of us had completely empty social calendars. Like our calendars were just wiped. Things just got cancelled. I remember going over my calendar. I always have a calendar on the wall and just crossing everything out. And I just had weeks and weeks of nothing, just at home in lockdown. Now, in theory, that should have been a perfect time for people to quit drinking, right? Because there's going to be no social temptations, no holidays, no special events, no nothing really. But actually, what we know happened, because research has been done on this, we know most people drank more. So notice that. Notice when your brain is trying to tell you that this isn't the right time and there's going to be some like magic perfect time in the future. There probably won't be. I want to show you this. So this is Helen, who took my Getting Unstuck course in October last year. And I remember her saying to me, I'm not sure whether it's a good time for me to do the course because I'm going on holiday. What if I start the course and then I screw it all up by drinking? I can't imagine having an alcohol-free holiday. And I said to her, look, Helen, challenges like these, they can actually fuel your long-term success. Because if you make this come hell or high water promise to stay alcohol-free and you are committing to being sober for 6 to 8 weeks, no matter what, even if you're going on holiday, even if you're going to a wedding, even if it's your birthday, then that is when you have the biggest breakthroughs. And Helen had a huge breakthrough. So she said here, we're home, had a great holiday, and I just cannot believe I'm 14 days alcohol free. It almost feels surreal that I've been on 2 flights, stayed in an all-inclusive hotel and not had a drink. Kate said to me on the very first call, imagine how you would feel if you just tried an alcohol-free holiday. Never in a million years did I think I'd be able to do it. I've done my homework daily, enjoyed trying different drinks, some more successfully than others. Thank you for all your lovely messages this week. It felt like I had a team behind me spurring me on. I do know I could not have done it without all the support. So I want you to think about that, because when Helen came through that, her story completely changed then. Suddenly it was, yeah, alcohol-free holidays are possible. This thing that I thought I was never going to be able to navigate, I just went and did it. And now I'm wondering, if I can do that, what else can I do? And I know Helen's faced some other challenges since then, but actually overcoming this one has spurred her on to figure out the others as well. So if you have got a holiday coming up, if you have got a challenging event, hear me when I say this. This is still the right time for you. And actually, being alcohol-free for that holiday, that event, that is going to be so beneficial to your sobriety in the long term. If you make this, like, no matter what commitment to staying alcohol-free. Because when you step into that figuring out mindset, like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen, that's when you learn so much. So yeah, you don't need an empty 6 weeks on your calendar to take a successful break. It is very hard to find that nowadays. And actually, I don't want anyone I'm working with to be hiding at home. Some people like to rest at home when they first quit drinking. That's different. Some people are very tired and they need time to recover. But no one should be hiding at home because sobriety is miserable. No. We've got to teach you how to do alcohol-free living in a way that actually feels good. Okay, here's something else I see some people saying, that I can't afford to get help. You know, I've had some people email me this week and they really want to join my Getting Unstuck course, but they feel that they actually can't afford to sign up. So I just want to put things in perspective a little bit, because when you look at how much the average drinker spends on alcohol over the course of their lifetime, we are talking about thousands and thousands and thousands. So this pink box here, where it says the average drinker spends an estimated £62,899 on alcohol over the course of a lifetime. That was a press release from Alcohol Change UK, I think a few months ago. And I went into my community and asked people what they thought, and they all thought it was an underestimate, as do I actually. I think I spent more than that when you break down what that must be a year. And just to the bottom of the screen where it says, my social drinking has cost me 57,000 over 15 years, and you're probably spending a small fortune too. That is a newspaper headline from somebody who'd worked it out. And I have to say, I think my drinking was probably nearer this second figure once you account for all the other costs that come with drinking. The taxis home, the missed events, the sluggishness, the lack of productivity, the random online shopping, the cost of alcohol when you're out and about. It really is incredible. So I just want to make sure that you're crystal clear on this, because I view my Getting Unstuck course as something that actually helps people save money. And let me show you why I have that belief. I went into my community recently and asked them, how long have you been sober for and how much have you saved? Here are some of the answers I got. So Leanne said, I've been sober for 6 months and I've saved about $2,500. Sue, 109 days, €621. Patricia, 700 days and £4,900 saved. She says, I find it hard to believe how it mounts up. Look at Jessie, 14 months sober and nearly £3,000 richer. So the point I'm trying to make here is that if you can buy alcohol, if you can invest in that on a regular basis, you can also invest in help and support too. Most women who take my Getting Unstuck course find that the course pays for itself within 6 to 8 weeks because of the money that they save on alcohol. And then, as you can see here, when you just expand things out a little bit further, if you extend your break beyond 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to be saving enough money to pay for a holiday, to pay for nice new clothes or treats for yourself. That money really adds up. And sometimes we don't realize how much we're spending on alcohol because it's just a bottle here, a bottle there. It's added to the supermarket shop. We don't really see it all stacking up so much. You can join my Getting Unstuck course for just £137. That's the payment plan price. You can just get started for £137. I really want to make this affordable and doable for as many people as possible. And you get full access to the course for that. All the lessons, all the coaching, all the support, the community, our app, our custom built website, all of it. Okay, sorry. I've got more slides here than I realized. All right, let me move on to the next block. Well, in fact, this is the final block. The final block that I think is probably the most powerful. And I don't think there'll be anyone watching this who can't relate to this. It's a rare bird who starts a new project and thinks, yeah, I'll be totally fine. I totally believe in myself. If you're like me, you've perhaps struggled with your self-esteem over the years. Maybe you don't have much confidence in yourself. Maybe you are worried that you will put your all into this and then fall flat on your face. The thing is that staying where you are right now, in your comfort zone, drinking, it feels safe, right? Because your comfort zone is familiar. But there's actually nothing comfortable about drinking. You know, there's a lot of pain around drinking. And it's just that you know this right now. It feels familiar, it feels safe. And that is why stepping out of that feels such a challenge. But I want you to start thinking about, what if this does work out? Right now, your brain, it keeps asking the question, what if I fail? What if I try and I can't do it? What if this? What if that? All quite negative questions that won't really serve you. But what if you ask this question instead? What if this does work out? Oh my God, like, what if this is a whole new life for me? What if this changes everything? What if? So I have done a lot of talking today, and I want to introduce you now to some of my Getting Unstuck students who really had a lot of fear around this, who really didn't think that they could do it. And they're really quite brutally honest in what they're going to say here. And yeah, I hope it inspires you to believe in yourself and know that if they can do it, you can do it too.
To lose hope. I just thought, well, I'm not worthy of that, really. You know, it's too hard. Every time I start thinking about changing, giving up the drink, if I give it up, maybe I'll have the strength to do something else. The feelings were so overwhelming, and the only thing I knew how to do was to have a glass of wine.
I was absolutely panic-stricken. I was terrified because I'd tried so many times to stop. We've all tried that moderating. There was that dual fear of giving up alcohol because you think you can't possibly live without it because it's your best friend, and the fear of living with it because it's your worst enemy. I would just drink until I fell asleep. And then I'd wake up in the night, hot and sweaty, and just be disgusted with myself because I knew that it was not good for my health. I knew that I really knew that my family knew what I was doing.
If you were to look from the outside in, everything looked great. But to be honest with you, my drinking had brought me to a really dark place, if I'm being very honest. But I managed, like it was like a full-time job managing the exterior, because nobody really knew except for me how ethanol was affecting me.
I just thought I was the only woman in the world that was having trouble stopping, the only person, and now I'll tell anyone. I'm not ashamed of it. It's nothing to be ashamed of, is it? It's happening to a lot of people, and I never did anything outrageous. I was just drunk and numb a lot of the time, but people didn't know.
And I'd read a lot of Quit Lit. I'd get a book and I'd think, okay, this book is going to, it says, in the reviews, this book changed my life. I mean, it's going to change my life. So I read a lot. And although that was remarkably helpful, it never quite got me to the point. It just made me feel more of a failure. And then I saw your course. And the fact it said the sober school really resonated with me, because education for me is the key to everything. And I thought, this is what I need to do. I need to learn my way out of this.
By the time you reach 60, you're quite cynical about the world and being ripped off. So I wasn't sure, but I loved it. I absolutely loved the course. I couldn't wait to get home from work every night and put it on.
As soon as I popped in and I saw you, it was like, I just knew, and I'll get emotional, but I just knew this was it. I found the place, and I could make it. I'm going to make it. And I'm not going to sit here feeling lonely and ugly and not being able to talk and communicate to people. And I just knew that first video, that was the introduction video that you had. I'm like, oh, it's real. I didn't spend my money foolishly.
When you put down the wine glass, you're basically naked standing in your kitchen. And there is this overwhelming sense of emotion that I blocked out, thoughts I blocked out, things that I tried to escape from. And suddenly I was in my kitchen. But here's the thing, I wasn't actually alone, because I suddenly had a classroom of women in which for those 6 weeks I could dip into and dip out of. I didn't feel alone when I was under stress at work. I didn't feel alone when my kids were acting up. I didn't feel alone when bad things happened, because what I actually felt was I now had an army with me who were exactly like me.
I'd just say, just do it. It's just, I can't describe, I feel quite emotional at how it's changed my life. 9 months down, sorry, I didn't think, but 9 months down the line, I would never have believed I could do this. Never. It's 9 months this week, and I never went 9 days, ever, as long as I can remember. So yeah, just do it. It's fabulous.
I used to think wine was so much, and drinking and being the party girl was so much part of who I was. And actually, I was all the good things, despite the fact I drank a lot, not because of it. All the things that my husband fell in love with me for, my stupid sense of humor and my kindness, and I'm back. That's what he says to me. He says, "You're back, Janie," and that's just a lovely thing.
I can wake up every weekend morning and feel absolutely fantastic, and I just feel like I don't have a minute to waste in my one precious life, and I don't want to waste any of my time on drinking.
I always brought up my daughters to be strong women and to believe in themselves. And I wanted to be a role model for them. And part of the issue with my drinking was that I knew I wasn't being the role model that I wanted to be for them. I look like I'm giving up, and that's not a good message to give to them. Whereas now I feel like I've shown them that I am the woman who is not going to fall down.
To anyone that's really undecided, as I was, whether this course was just going to be a rip-off and you're going to lose your money, what have you got to lose? And I think that's kind of been my motto ever since. What have you got to lose? It could change your life. And if it does change your life, it's cheap at the price. And if it doesn't, at least you've had a go.
I'm so much happier this way, and I needed some type of a structure and focus to pull it all together and feel comfortable in this lifestyle. So today is 22 months, and which makes me really happy, and yeah, it feels good.
What I really want people to know is that when they've done the course and they're successful, that you have like a badge of honour, and how good they'll feel about it and how good they'll feel about themselves. And that's so valuable because, you know, we've all spent a long time being traumatised and beating ourselves up about things. And there's nothing quite like waking up every day and saying, thank God, I'm not in the grip of that anymore and I have a new life. And it's so worth it. And I just want people to know that, really, if they're sitting on the other side of the fence and thinking, well, you know, they really, really need to go for it, because it will change their life for the better, definitely.
I second that, Jessie.
For sure.
It always makes me so emotional hearing from those women, because, you know, I've been with them since the beginning. I've followed their journey. I know where they started and I know where they are now. And the fact of the matter is, if you were watching this live and you're struggling with your drinking, or if you have this hope to quit drinking or change your drinking this year, but you don't have a plan in place, you've got a wing and a prayer system going on there, then I want to show you how to do this right, how to make alcohol-free living stick this time, how to make it feel like a lifestyle upgrade, how to make it feel fun and easy and empowering. And no matter what blocks you've got, no matter what doubts you have about it, you aren't alone. You aren't the only person to have thought those things and worried about those things, and you can still overcome this. So registration is open right now. Just head over to thesoberschool.com/join. The class starts on Monday. We've got a good group together for this January class. I know it's going to be amazing, and we would love to have you there as well. Let's make 2024 the year you change your relationship with alcohol for good. Send me a message if you have any questions. I'll be so happy to answer them. And I hope to see you inside the Getting Unstuck course. And I'm just wishing you so many happy, hangover-free days ahead this year, because you absolutely deserve it. Thank you for joining me this evening.